All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're unpacking a really specific but super important piece of Malaysian law, something that could affect anyone living in a condo or any strata property. We're going to demystify Regulation 37, a rule that's all about keeping things fair when disagreements pop up.
So let me just ask you this. Imagine you're in a dispute with a neighbor or even the management committee. What's to stop them from just dragging you through an expensive, draining legal battle with a claim that has no real merit? Just to wear you down? Well, that's exactly the problem we're going to talk about.
Okay, so first things first, where do these disputes even get sorted out? Well, the main stage for these kinds of disagreements isn't your typical courtroom. It's actually a specialized body.
And that body is the Strata Management Tribunal, or SMT for short. It was set up specifically to be a quicker, less expensive, and just a more accessible place to handle conflicts that happen in strata communities. Think of it as the expert referee for everything strata-related.
Now, this tribunal has a very particular tool in its toolbox, one designed to make sure the game is played fairly and to weed out those baseless claims we just talked about. This tool is called security for costs. So what in the world is that? Simply put, it's an order from the tribunal that says one party has to put up some money before the case really gets going. That cash is then held as a guarantee, so if they lose, there's already a pot of money ready to cover the winner's legal fees.
Honestly, the best way to think about it is just like a security deposit on a rental apartment. It's not a punishment, it's not a fine. It's just a safeguard, held on the side, just in case things go south.
So how does the tribunal know when and how to use this tool? Where are the instructions? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the specific rule that lays it all out. It's a single, powerful sentence known as Regulation 37. And there it is. Let's really listen to the wording here. Where an order is made requiring any party to give security for costs, the security shall be given in such manner, at such time, and on such terms, if any, as the tribunal may direct. It sounds kind of straightforward, right? But trust me, all the real power is hiding in those details.
Yeah, that one little sentence actually gives the tribunal a massive amount of power and flexibility. Let's break down what it really means.
See, the regulation gives the tribunal total say over three huge things. The manner, that's how the security is given, the time, when it has to be paid by, and the terms, basically all the other conditions. Let's take a quick look at each one.
First up, the manner. This is all about how the money is provided. So for example, let's say someone is making a claim that seems a little shaky, maybe in bad faith. The tribunal might just say, okay, you need to deposit cold, hard cash. But in another case, they might be more flexible and allow something like a bank guarantee, which doesn't tie up a person's actual cash.
Second, we have the time. The tribunal decides the deadline. So for that person with the shaky claim, the tribunal might say, you have 14 days. That's it. This is a great way to test how serious they really are. But if someone has a legitimate case but just needs a little more time to get the funds together, the tribunal can grant them a longer period. It's all about context.
And finally, the terms. This covers everything else. The tribunal will spell out who holds the money, usually the tribunal itself to stay neutral, and, really importantly, it will say exactly what happens if you miss the deadline. For our difficult claimant, that could mean their case gets thrown out immediately, protecting the other party from being dragged along any further.
So when you put together the manner, the time, and the terms, you start to see a very clear pattern, right? All of this flexibility, all these different options, they all point to one single massive controlling principle behind this whole regulation.
And it's this. If you remember nothing else from Regulation 37, remember these 5 words, as the tribunal may direct. That short little phrase is the key to absolutely everything.
Because what that phrase does is establish one single controlling idea, the tribunal's absolute discretion. At the end of the day, Regulation 37 isn't about some rigid checklist. It's about empowering the tribunal to look at a unique situation, the specific people, the specific conflict, and make a call that is fair for that specific case.
So what does all this mean for you in the real world?
Well, first, it means the process is flexible, not set in stone. The tribunal can tailor its orders. Second, it's a huge safeguard against people who might try to use the system just to bully someone. And last, it means that if you're ever in this situation, you have to be ready to follow whatever direction the tribunal gives, period.
And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. Giving the legal body this much power, this much discretion, does it guarantee fairness by letting them tailor justice to each case?
Or could it maybe create a little bit of uncertainty, since it makes the outcomes harder to predict? It's a really interesting balance, and it's definitely something worth considering.